wondering, our guy Steven Spielberg. So he's been doing a lot of press recently. We talked about Ready Player One on last week's podcast. Find that at soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod. He teased a potential future Indiana Jones movie with a female lead. Now, the interesting thing about the quote was he said we'd have to name her Indiana Joan, which I don't think he understands how names work. But outside of that, how do you feel about a female lead for Indiana Jones?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, he is going forward with Harrison Ford for Indy 5, which is probably, I think they're setting shooting early next year, I believe was the plan. I think we might have sent a tweet from the pod account about it. But after that, I mean, you obviously know Harrison Ford will be done after that if Indy even survives it, similar to Returning to Han Solo for Force Awakens. It's kind of been his vibe. And Deckard and Blade Runner, same thing. He'll return to his, 1970s, 1980s folklore characters if they die. But if Indiana Jones was to be a new franchise, I don't know if it's a guarantee, just because there's only been 4 of them, one of which was bad. So for Indy 6 to do a reboot, I don't know, like would be traversing into like Terminator territory or Alien territory where it's getting a little long in the tooth. I don't know, but the idea to switch it up with somebody else, because I think the sentiment of having like a Tom Holland or a Chris Pratt just become Indiana Jones and reboot it traditionally, I think that's kind of passed over. No one's really that excited about that idea anymore.
Yep.
So to have a woman in the lead would be cool. I think some obvious names thrown out there right now. Someone who's really hot, Tessa Thompson. I mean, Gina Rodriguez, sure. And Shadow Annihilation. But someone who I actually kind of noticed when I was reading some pieces about it was Karen Gillan. She plays Nebula in Marvel, her most notable role, but she was in Doctor Who, probably most famously. I don't know. I could just definitely see her in the role, and I thought she was hilarious in Jumanji, so I think she has the charisma. So yeah, that's my pick. A little off the radar.
Yeah, I mean, initially, I hear Indiana Jones, a female lead. I think the Queen, Vikander, but her being Tomb Raider, kind of.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, it's done. So, I mean, Tessa Thompson seems like a really easy role. I mean, I would love Lupita Nyong'o to get way more roles. Lupita Nyong'o. Sorry, I just switched her first and last name. But who was the person that was in the show? Being very vague here. Her name is Carrie something. She was in the
Carey Mulligan
series. Carey Mulligan. Yes,
Collateral.
I feel like
great show.
Yeah, I feel like she could play a pretty good Indiana Jones because, the way that she was in that show, but also then kind of mixing in her role from The Great Gatsby. I think that she can kind of play the charming side, but also like the serious adventurer side.
Right. And you always forget Indy is a professor, Dr. Jones,
Right.
So that's like a bookish or academic side to the role. So yeah, I think that's a good call as well. But I mean, it was just kind of a offhand comment in an interview. It's not like it's even being considered at this point, but I thought it was interesting to think about.